Welcome to Southern Costa Rica. I'm here in Wilson's Botanical Gardens at the Organization for Tropical Studies Las Cruces Research Station. We're here outside the town of San Vito, near the border with Panama, and I'm going to take you on a several-day journey looking at some of the endemic species that we have here in Costa Rica, as well as checking out some cool off-the-beaten-track spots. This is day one of the trip. I just got here. It's about a 7.5-hour drive from where I live, and it's already getting quite dark because we have a hurricane in the Caribbean. It's supposed to hit Nicaragua, but we're already getting some of the outer rain bands from it. So as you can tell, we're already getting some really foggy weather. It's not the best for birding, but we'll see what we have in the morning because tomorrow's another special day. It's also the Global Big Day for October 2022, one of 2 yearly birding events sponsored by Cornell University, in which they try to set a record for the most number of bird watchers out in the field doing citizen science initiatives. So starting at 4 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to be looking for owls. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. So it's about 4 a.m. and we're going to start our day looking for 2 species of owls, the Mottled Owl and the Chocó Screech-Owl. We heard the Mottled Owl last night, so we know he's nearby and hoping to actually see him this morning. And then later, as the day gets brighter, we should be welcomed to quite a chorus of songs as the birds start their morning routine. So we're out here in the botanical gardens and we found our first bird for the day. We heard the Mottled Owl, and we are out looking for him now. He's been moving around, but at least we've heard it, so we know it's here nearby. So here we go down into the forest. There goes Nancy, my wife, and the light further ahead is our guide, Jeisson. So far we've managed to find 3 owls, but it's still pretty dark, so I'm not going to be able to show you a whole lot. Well, we have our first actual sighting of the day. We managed to see the Chocó Screech-Owl after running up and down several trails as he was flying around. I'm using my red light here because the red light helps you to not lose your night vision. So it's a little bit easier to see things in the dark when you turn this off than if you were using white light. But we've got our guide Jeisson here. He was just taking some pictures. He's kind of hiding there in the dark. There he is. And my wife is a little bit up. She's got our big flashlight at the moment. So first sighting, and we've already heard 3 other species by 5 a.m. So now we've got a little bit more light. It's a little after 5 a.m. We're still in the blue hour. The sun isn't up yet, but we're finally able to see without the need of a flashlight once we get outside of the forest. So we just came back out and the bird activity is starting to pick up. Right now we're looking for an endemic species, the Costa Rican Brush-Finch. It's a small bird that inhabits brush, obviously, from its name. And I'm hiding out from the rain here underneath some leaves because the effects of the hurricane is starting to catch up with us.
Okay. Now we are seeing a couple of pigeons. We are talking about which one is because they look very similar. Short-billed pigeon, normally I can recognize by sound because he makes the sound like a... We say in Spanish, ya está el café. And the other one is the ruddy pigeon. Normally the call is like a... We say in Spanish, hoy te toco, hoy te toco. They are... We have 2 now here, but I'm not sure which species because they look exactly the same colors and size and everything.
One of the main attractions at this garden is the fact that it is a botanical garden. It's used for research, and there are approximately 1,900 native plant species to Costa Rica that can be found here in the garden. But in addition to those, there's about 1,100 exotic species brought from other parts of the world that are used both for study and also, in some cases, it's a botanical garden. It's just beautiful. So for example, here we have a type of cactus that is brought from southern India. Over here we have another cactus that comes from Mexico. And behind me here along the wall, these are actually native. This is a type of cactus that comes from Costa Rica. So you might think of Costa Rica, tropical rainforest. What do you mean cactus? Well, Costa Rica actually has some areas that are dry forest. Although in the case of here, this is very wet forest. This area that we're in right now is under a roof, which is the only reason I'm able to be filming, because the rain has been picking up. So I haven't been able to film quite as much as I was hoping to, but here's a little taste of what you can see at the botanical gardens here at Las Cruces Research Station. So here we have a type of caterpillar that obviously turns into a butterfly. And this plant that it's on actually has some toxins in it. But they make use of the toxins, that's why they're so brightly colored, in order to protect themselves. So we have this beautiful little caterpillar here. And here there's a species of exotic bamboo. This comes from Asia, and it's the largest bamboo in the world. It grows to over 30-35 meters, so about 100 feet tall. You can see how big this bamboo is. So we're at our second spot for the day. We are in the Río Negro region outside of San Vito. We drove about 25 minutes away, and we're looking for a couple species here. And we've been having a lot of success. What you can hear right now, there's a Kentucky warbler singing. And what we're on is a public access road that goes through a private farm. So underneath us is where the main water system feeding San Vito comes from. So this is a public road through some forest reserves, and we're having good success finding a bunch of birds between the off and on range hours. So we finally have a species I've been very excited to see. Barely see, we hear them a lot. Hopefully they'll call while I'm talking here. They're called lance-tailed manakins, and now it's the final manakin that I needed to have seen all of them from Costa Rica. And so as you can see, really off in the woods here, kind of spin around, you'll see, oh, actually hit the camera off a branch. We're off the beaten track, literally off the road, and just walking out through the jungle to where they were at. Now we stopped for a quick lunch after about 8 hours of birding without stopping for food. And you can see behind me, the reason we chose this restaurant. It wasn't for the food, it's because of this pond. We're trying to get as many species as we can today. And obviously ponds, as wetlands, are a great place for seeing wildlife. Wetlands are crucial habitats for wildlife diversity. And we've seen about 15 different species out here on the pond that we hadn't seen in other spots today. So it was a worthwhile stop. Well, we've now been at it for almost 12 hours straight birding. Just had a little bit of food, and we're going for probably our last species or two, as the outer bands of rain from this hurricane have definitely now reached us here. I'm walking here with Jeisson under his umbrella because I didn't bring one, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to film and show you this. But we're going to look for a duck that is actually a hybrid between two migratory species, the blue-winged teal and the green-winged teal. And sometimes they hybridize. So we're gonna go look for that and then probably call it a day because it's been 12 plus hours at this point. So for one of the last shots of the day, right over there, we found the duck that we're looking for. So there's 8 blue-winged teals that are out here in this little pond at this place called Finca Los. It's a non-profit educational location that's open to anybody to come. They have different educational programs that they put on, as well as being a great spot for looking for birds. Unfortunately, we got here right as they're closing and as the rain decided to pour down, but they let us pop down to be able to see these ducks to wrap up our day. The species that is the hybrid is a combination of the blue and green-winged teal. There's one of them there. The other 7 ducks are all blue-winged teals, which are, during migration season, the most populous duck in Costa Rica. We don't have them all year round, but during migratory season, the blue-winged teal is the duck that you're most likely to see, especially if you're in spots that are common migration stopover points. Welcome back to our trip. We've had a last-minute complete change of plans due to the hurricane that I was telling you about before. Originally this morning, we were going to be looking for a bird that's quite infrequently seen in Costa Rica. Well, we've had to push those plans to tomorrow, and we were supposed to be going up into the Talamanca mountain region right about now, but that didn't work out because of the hurricane washing out so many roads. But I took advantage to come to a spot that could be called in many senses the home of bird watching in not only Costa Rica, but Central America. This is the Los Cusingos farm in the El General Valley in the south of Costa Rica. This was the farm for 60 plus years for naturalist Dr. Alexander Skutch and his wife Pamela Lancaster Skutch. Dr. Skutch was born in the United States but came to Costa Rica while working as a botanist for the United Fruit Company, studying diseases that affected the banana plantations. He developed a love of birds and ended up literally writing the book on the birds of Costa Rica and Central America in general, spending a lot of time, for example, in Guatemala. He published, I believe, about 40 books during his lifetime, both on naturalist subjects as well as on philosophy, and lived here on this estate until about a week shy of his 100th birthday when he passed away. His wife Pamela was the daughter of Dr. Charles Lancaster. Dr. Lancaster was the one who pioneered a lot of the research into orchids. And so I wanted to start this video off standing by this little wall. This wall is a collection of stumps that have future orchids growing out of them. But this farm, Los Cusingos, which he named after the endemic fiery-billed araucaries that we can find in southern Costa Rica, was donated to the CCT, the Centro Científico Tropical, or the Tropical Science Center. This, along with the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve, are both run by that research organization. And so today, I'm going to take you on a short little tour of this farm. You might have a hard time hearing me, and that's because now we've gone down below Dr. Skutch's house and we're along the Rio del General. And this river right now is running full because of all the rain we got with the recent storms. But it's impressive how much water is flowing down this river. You can actually feel a breeze here along the edge of the river that's pushed by all this movement of much colder water than the warm, dense, humid tropical air. So to start out our third day, we're looking for a beautiful but quiet bird, the turquoise Cotinga. The Cotinga family is a very interesting family of birds. In it, we actually have a species that is completely silent, that's never been heard, and another species that's the loudest bird in Costa Rica, the three-wattled bellbird. This morning, we're looking for the turquoise, which is one of the two blue Cotingas that we have in Costa Rica. We're here on a farm that belongs to Pindeco, which is part of the Del Monte company. So here, a lot of pineapple production. But we're with our local guide here, Leandro, and since he works with Pindeco, he's able to get us access to these farms, and he knows a spot where we might see the Cotinga. And then after this, we're going for some other interesting birds that are at times difficult to see. So we didn't have success with our first target, the turquoise Cotinga, but I'm sure you can hear we've had success with our second one, the main target for the day, the rosy thrush tanager. This is basically the only spot in Costa Rica you're going to be able to find it. And we're here with Leandro, who works with the monitoring brigade for this area, and he has a very special relationship with these birds. He's developed a very close relationship, spending hours a day at times, so they get used to his presence because they're very skittish birds. And he's got 18 different spots that he's monitoring their habits, their behaviors, and documenting them. So he's a great person to go with. One of the best things about bird watching in the south of Costa Rica is the beautiful views that you're going to get. So in northern Costa Rica, where I live, most of the mountain ranges are volcanic in origin. So you'll have lone peaks or kind of ridge lines. Here in the Talamanca Mountains, which are some of the largest mountains in Central America outside of Mexico, you have these beautiful views of long mountain valleys with steep sides, and that's because of its tectonic origins. The highest mountain in Central America, Cerro Chirripó, is found here in the Talamanca mountain range. So often when you're up on a high spot, you get a beautiful view to look out on. For our next stop, we're here at the entrance to the Montaña del Tigre Private Reserve. This reserve is 273 hectares, and it's here on the edge of these pineapple plantations that we've been birding around. I don't have time to go in today, but this is an area that has a lot of biodiversity as well as cultural importance. There are 3 different sites with indigenous petroglyphs that are protected inside this reserve. There have also been observed over 100 different bird species, a lot of different mammals, and other types of animals. If you want to visit here, it's a completely private reserve, but it is open to the public. You contact Pindeco, and Our guide for the day, Leandro, will show you around the trails here. So you can probably tell I'm starting off this last segment quite excited. I got to see, well, hear the bird that I was looking for. Our last spot is up in the mountains above Buenos Aires, and we're actually here in some of the very limited natural savanna that you can find in Costa Rica, up here in the foothills of the Talamanca Mountains. There is a bird called the ocellated crake, not the prettiest looking bird, nor the prettiest sounding bird, but it's very, very rare to find in Costa Rica. In fact, its entire habitat is very patchy throughout South America, and this is the only spot in Central America that you're able to find it. Literally, basically, this one section of savanna that I'm in is the only spot in Central America that you're going to find this bird. So if you're coming to Costa Rica and it's on your list, you're going to have to come right here. I hope you enjoyed traveling along with us in southern Costa Rica. Due to the inclement weather, I wasn't able to get as many photos or videos as I normally would, and so I wanted to thank all of the other birders that allowed me to use their photos and sounds in this video, and the accreditations are below in the video description. In total, we managed to see 168 species, of which 29 were new for me. So, despite not seeing quite as many as we were hoping, it was still a very successful trip overall.